Let's do it.
You know it? Come here. You're singing too.
No, I don't know it, but I'll follow you.
But you're going to figure it out.
Okay, let's figure it out.
Ready?
Okay, I'll follow you. Where's the words?
So it's the tide is rising.
The tide is rising, and so are we. Okay.
The tide is rising, and so are we.
Okay.
The tide is rising, and so are we.
That's easy
This
enough.
is where we're called to be.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Bless you.
But we're really springing it on Larry here, so. Tide is rising, and so are we.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be.
This is where we are called to be.
Something like that.
Well, what do you think? No? I mean, I think it sounds great. I think it's so nuts that people can play the piano, but that's, you know, I understand that your standard is different from mine. But I'm just like, wow! You know?
I like the song. It's a good song.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
it
good.
is.
But this is also fine. This is fine. This is fine a cappella, so that's not
We can
an
do it.
issue.
We can do it.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yes, you will.
Good Lord.
Thank you.
How you doing this morning, Bob? The tide is rising.
More.
It was pretty hot there though. But we got some ice
rise in body or in spirit for our gathering hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Good morning. My name is Megan Cody, and I'm a member of this congregation. Alexa Jennings will light our chalice. Please join me in our chalice lighting words found in your order of service. We light this chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, to remind us to connect in spirituality and service, to care for each other and the world, and to create loving community.
Our Jewish siblings in faith and Jewish Unitarian Universalists are celebrating Pesach, Passover, commemorating the freedom of the Israelites from bondage in Egypt. On Passover, families and friends gather for a Seder dinner where a traditional and symbolic meal is prepared and 4 questions are asked. They are under the heading, who knows, what's the big question? Why is this night different from all other nights? Yeah. 4 questions. On all nights, we need not dip even once, and on this night, we dip twice. Why? This represents the salt of the tears that the Israelites cried in Egypt. On all nights, we eat chametz, which is like bread with leavening or grains of any kind, or matzah, and on this night, only matzah. Why? Because there was no time for the bread to rise when the Israelites fled Egypt to cross the Red Sea and wander the wilderness. On all nights, we eat any kind of vegetables, and on this night, only maror, which means bitter herbs. Why? To commemorate the bitterness and the suffering of life in bondage. On all nights, we eat sitting upright or reclining, and on this night, we all recline. So we all lean back on big cushions to recline. Why? Because those who are safe and comfortable recline. Royalty recline. And so we eat reclining to enjoy freedom. Of course, you can say Happy Passover to all of your Jewish friends and family, and you can also say Chag Samash or Chag Pesach Samash, which means Happy Passover. We try that. Will you repeat with me? Chag Samash. Happy Passover. To any of you who have celebrated any of your friends and family, Jewish, Unitarian, Universalists, and our Jewish siblings in faith in Greensboro and around the world, we send our sincerest wishes for a joyous holiday from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro. Welcome to worship here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro. I'm the Reverend Sadie Lansdale, and I'm the minister of this congregation. Unitarian Universalists believe that each person has a trustworthy relationship with the holy, with the source of all life, with the spirit, with the divine, with what some call God, though we name it and know it differently from one another. And we believe that because we are all interconnected, no one's free until we all are free. So we strive to create beloved community here on earth, in our fellowship with one another, and in our work for justice. Whether today is your first or your 1,000th Sunday with us, we are stronger because you are in our midst. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, and all loved. Our ministry team here at UUCG is Cindy Dillard, our Director of Children's and Youth Ministry, Julie Hamilton, our Congregational Administrator, Colin McCrae, our Director of Music, and me. Though you may notice that Colin and our choir are absent. This morning they are at Choir Fest at the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, where UU choirs from all around the state have gathered this weekend to make music together and up their game and enjoy one another's company. So we will be the choir this morning. You already sound beautiful. Prepare yourselves to sing even more boldly and beautifully than you do on a regular Sunday. And we are thrilled to have our very own Larry Porter on the piano as well.
A covenant contains the promises we make to one another in response to the great gift of living, holding ourselves to these holy aspirations. Will you join me in our church covenant? We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, do covenant to promote a search for personal meaning, respecting the individual truth in a community process of quest, speak and act with caring, courtesy, and love, thereby maintaining emotional, physical, and spiritual safety for all. Support UUCG and denominational efforts with our resources. Combat injustice while promoting equality. Nurture our children on their spiritual journey. Hold ourselves to this covenant, especially during times of conflict and disagreement. And now please join in our opening hymn, number 100 in your gray hymnal, I've Got Peace Like a River.
How many verses, please?
All of them.
All of them.
Peace like
like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. Love like an ocean. Pain like an arrow. Tears like the raindrops. Tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops. I've got tears like the raindrops in my soul. Strength like a mountain. Strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain. I've got strength like a mountain in my soul. If you're joining us in the sanctuary, won't you wave hello to everyone joining us online? If you're online, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. If you're in person, let's greet our neighbors. I'm sending you light to you, to hold you. I'm sending you light to hold you.
you love. I'm sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. To someone you do not yet love. I'm sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. How beautiful it is to be together. We gather in gratitude this morning, turning our hearts to thanks and praise for the gift of living in the presence of the Spirit that animates all life, knowing that we are deeply connected to all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. During these next few minutes of silence, you can focus on something you're grateful for, someone you're remembering especially today, or just the sensation of your chair supporting you. So will you find the most comfortable place in your seat and take a few easy breaths at your own pace as we settle into our silence together. We bring the echoes in our hearts before our community and before the holy in this sacred space and time. If you're online, this is your time to share your joys and sorrows with one another in the chat. And if you're in person and you have a milestone you'd like added to our prayers, fill out a yellow card, which the ushers will collect from you. If there's a joy on your heart, you can place a flower in the vase. And if a sorrow, you can place a stone in the bowl. You can light a candle of prayer or presence for someone you're holding close to you.
And if you're not sure how you're feeling, or maybe you're a little fidgety, there are pipe cleaners in the back, mandalas to color, or you might have brought your own needlework, which you should feel free to do. In church, we practice becoming more fully human. This is our time to take stock of how we are arriving here and to take what we need, knowing the table is set for us all. Will you join me in prayer and presence? We name aloud or in the chat those people on our hearts, living or dead, near or far, that this community might hold them in love.
Nancy Guyton.
Lynn Lansdale. Held by silence and song, we offer our joys and sorrows alike, knowing they are woven fine. Tish Gunn shares, this past week my mom got another MRI, which showed 2 more collapsed vertebrae. She waits in pain for insurance approval for repair procedures. And Tish, our prayers are with you and your mom. Dory Block asks for healing, love, and prayers for my husband, David, who had emergency surgery on Friday and is still in the John Wesley Hospital. Dory, our prayers are with you and with Dave. Megan Cody says, my mom was recently discharged from the hospital where she was treated for sepsis and a compression fracture in her spine. She is still in a lot of pain. Our prayers of healing were with you and your mom, Megan. Susan Andrietta's joy is that she got a new knee for her birthday last week, but she aspirated some water while in the hospital,
coughed for 30 minutes and in the process wrecked her voice and is in need of support with her dog. And so information about how to support her will be coming to you. And in the meantime, our prayers for a speedy recovery for Susan. Both Amelia Maddox and Carol Webb congratulate Chad, Robinette, and Justin Peel on their marriage yesterday, wishing them a lifetime of joy and happiness. Our prayers of joy and gratitude for Chad and Justin, their presence in our community and their commitment, are winging to them this morning as they're hopefully relaxing after the big party. Rachel Cessna says, life is becoming more full, more joyful, and I'm grateful. New friends, new things to do. My heart is full. Rachel, our prayers of gratitude and joy are with you. Our prayer this morning comes to us from the poet Aurora Levens Morales. Will you pray with me? Spirit of life and love, God of many names and beyond all naming, source of all, we cannot cross until we carry each other. All of us refugees, all of us prophets, no more taking turns on history's wheel, trying to collect old debts no one can pay. The sea will not open that way. This time that country is what we promise each other, our rage pressed cheek to cheek until tears flood the space between, until there are no enemies left, because this time no one will be left to drown, and all of us must be chosen. This time it's all of us or none. We ask these things for ourselves, for those we love, and for those we do not yet love. Amen. I'm sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. I'm sending you light to heal you, to hold you. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. We now invite our children and youth to the RE wing for snack and fellowship. Go in peace, go in love, go in joy. Go in peace, go in peace, go in peace, amen, amen. Go in love, go in love, go in love, amen, amen. Go in joy, go in joy, go in joy, amen, amen. We're going to revisit the Passover story a little bit. So the Israelites were in bondage where? In Egypt, yes. And when they left, Moses parted the Red Sea. Well, you know, God parted the Red Sea, but Moses, whatever. Okay. They crossed the Red Sea and they go to where? The wilderness. Oh, yes. And they're in the wilderness for for 40 years. So this is like liberation from bondage into mass confusion and wandering around for a long time. Okay, now we're all on the same page. So, from Exodus. Then Moses ordered Israel to set out from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. That's why it was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" Moses cried out to God, and God showed him a piece of wood, and he threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. And there God made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he put them to the test. And he said, "If you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, and give heed to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will not bring upon you any of the diseases that I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the water. Okay, so setting aside the hymn business, they have fled captivity and suffering. They have gone on. They have fled. They have arrived to somewhere they thought would be better than the previous place. And the water is bitter, and they are thirsty, and they are terrified. And Moses cries out to God. And instead of fixing it, God shows Moses something they already had, which is a piece of wood. And they threw it in the water, and the water becomes sweet. College students around the country are camping out in their quads, demanding that their universities disclose their ties to weapons manufacturers and military support for the Israeli government and divest fully from them. There are mass graves unearthed in Gaza. At least 30,000 people have died, and maybe more. And these college students, these American college students, are finding themselves in an absolute moral wilderness, inflicted by those who are supposed to teach and care for them. And so they are choosing to camp there in their quads, maybe by the springs of water and maybe by the palm trees, and trying their very best to turn this bitter water sweet. This situation is changing quickly, but the last I saw, there are at least 100 solidarity encampments at colleges and universities all around the United States, and protests taking root all over the world to cry for an end to the murder. These college students were born in the early 2000s. Before they could read, they learned that our government would not protect them from the epidemic of gun violence. So they crawled under their desks and they practiced barricading the doors in their classrooms with chairs and desks and benches. Before they hit puberty, they learned that they would inherit a rapidly warming and destabilizing planet, and our government would not protect them from that either. Before they could drive, they learned that our government would not protect them or their teachers or their parents from a global pandemic or police brutality. And they learned, as the poet says, that they are each other's business. They are each other's harvest. They are each other's magnitude and bond. These protests are cropping up like buttercups, like mushrooms sustained by miles of mycelia underground on college campuses all over the country. There are no more standing colleges or universities in Gaza. They have all been bombed. And police in riot gear are called in on students who are praying, singing, learning, doing yoga, sharing food, holding signs, learning about each other's religious traditions, protecting each other's religious observances, and crying for an end to murder and occupation. When life gives you lemons, you focus on strength using reframing and defining phenomena in relation to traumatic context. As the saying goes, the Israeli social work professor Michal Shammai wrote a book called Systemic Interventions for Collective and National Trauma, Theory, Practice, and Evaluation. So if you're looking for some light bedtime reading, that's not it, but I'll tell you what it says. All right, so here's what she writes about. She shares assessments of communities that have endured catastrophe, what the response was, and what happened afterward. She studies these things on the level of the family, the community, and the nation. So she is in one of these schools of thought that understands that sort of all of our groups are microcosms of each other, okay? So she studied the aftermath of wars, natural disasters like Hurricane Katrina and the earthquake in Haiti, massive displacements and upheavals, and how people make it through. In this book, Shammai looks at the ways that various systems are affected by disaster and the possible interventions by social workers and community leaders of all kinds to shape outcomes toward growth and flourishing. She found that communities that thrive in the aftermath of traumatic experience have two important ingredients. They have the resources to meet their very basic needs, and they have a common story of hope and strength. Moses cried out to God, and God showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it in the water, and the water became sweet. God doesn't shake a bunch of sugar in there in the story. God shows Moses something Moses and the people already have, and they throw it in the water at Marah, and all of a sudden the bitterness fades from the name of Marah, and the bitter water is sweet. Now, stories of resilience of exploited communities are sometimes used to deny the proper allocation of resources to those very communities. If any of you are public school teachers, I don't have to explain that anymore. Have you read articles studying like grit and resilience in poor children? Have you seen this? Do you know this phenomenon? Mm-hmm. How many of you squirm when you realize that what you're not reading about is the dramatic defunding of public education, public housing, and public health, the extraction of resources that then requires people to develop all that grit and resilience in the first place? Yeah, I know. Some of you know this very intimately and very personally from your lives or from your work. Your strength can be used against you, can be used as a justification for not giving you what you need. Now, Shammai discusses how important it is to make meaning of loss, how part of the process of healing is the establishment in a community of some sort of simple shared meaning. And yet how easily and how readily we try sometimes to make something senseless mean something good. There is no world where it is good or right or neat that these students who are mostly too young to legally buy a beer have had to develop the skills to beat away the police. There is no world where it is good or right or neat that the children of Gaza spray paint banners that say, U.S. college students, you give us hope. Keep going, love from Rafah. There is no world where it is good or right or neat that in the 2014 police brutality protests in Ferguson, where protesters were tear gassed, it was Palestinians on Twitter teaching people in the United States how to wash tear gas from their eyes because they knew it so well and had been doing it so long. There is no world where it is good or right or neat that, for example, these college protests are populated by a lot of Jewish students who, having experienced persecution, anti-Semitism, prejudice, both in their own lives and in the stories of their families, have come by a sense of solidarity for all others through suffering. It is not good, it is not right, it is not neat. And yet we make some kind of messy meaning out of this pain. We try to make a better world out of the raw ingredients and the broken shards of this one. We see incorrect accusations, bad faith accusations of anti-Semitism used to quell uprising for justice, stoking fear to shut down moral clarity. We see actual anti-Semitism happening and then dismissed in our movements and in our communities. It is for us as Unitarian Universalists to turn the bitter water sweet as well. There is no limit to the compassion that we can extend or the people that we can care about. You can care about it all. We can care about it all. And one way to do that is to have clearer and more accurate information. So, conspiracy theories. I promise. A lot of conspiracy theories start this way. Number one, there's some experience of poverty, misery, exploitation, or oppression, some experience of pain, a starting place of pain. And this is phase one. Phase two, there is some suspicion that someone's profiting from this pain. Someone's producing it in you, someone's causing it in you, someone is making this happen, and you want to take away their power. Step three in a conspiracy theory is that it's Jews. That's, it's like step number one, I hear you. Step number two, I hear you. Step number three, what? But this is by design, right? Step four is then the persecution of Jewish people through the centuries. Okay, so at first I thought this was like just the weirdest prejudice, and I didn't really understand how it worked. And then I learned a little more and have discovered that this is exactly the political function of anti-Semitism in capitalism and pre-capitalism in feudalism. So here's how it goes. This is an inheritance of feudal Europe. Christians were forbidden from charging interest on loans. And so Jewish people could get jobs as moneylenders. This is all, remember, this is pre-industrial capitalism. So Jewish moneylenders functioned as the buffer between those who borrowed money, peasant and merchant classes, and those who hoarded it, the landowners and the kings and etc. Okay, so during times of crisis, war, famine, economic disruption, and disease, the peasant classes were encouraged to take out their fear, hatred, and pain on Jewish people and not on the actual source of it, right? So this is described as putting a, quote, Jewish face on the problem, right? So, importantly, other kinds of racism, prejudice, and exploitation require the economic exploitation of those who are oppressed. Anti-Semitism functions slightly differently. Some economic success is permitted for Jewish people so that then they would be the target of rage, as a smokescreen, a scapegoat, and a distraction from the unjust order of the day, whether it was feudalism, industrial capitalism, or our current late-stage capitalism nonsense that we are all living in today. So that the pain of the masses, the most economically exploited, was funneled toward a religious and ethnic minority, okay? The buffer, the shield, and the target of suspicion. So this is where maybe you've heard this bizarre and anti-Semitic idea that Jews, because of some like weird and secret power of Jewishness, control the media and the banks. Okay. You can see how that's a useful distraction from all the powers that be, especially when in banking and in media there are prominent Jewish people, right? Though it is not a function, whatever stuff people are up to that is wrong, is not a function of their Jewishness. Is everybody following me? Because this is a very bizarre prejudice, and it is very important to understand how it functions and how it functions differently from other kinds of prejudice. Okay. So, what's up with anti-Semitism in Unitarian Universalism? That's an odd question, and we're going to try to reflect on it a little bit today. It is important to know what it is, and it is important to know what it's not. One of the ways anti-Semitism functions in Unitarian Universalism is our sort of collective, what I would say like culturally Protestant-ish refusal to study how it works, our insistence on minimizing its threat, especially in a lot of anti-racist work where a lot of Jews pass as white. That gets very complicated. Okay. When we allow justified moral clarity about genocide to limit compassion for all those who are afraid. That happens too. In Unitarian Universalism, we have sometimes misappropriated Jewish music or ritual for sort of additional flavor without depth or engagement. Our singing of the song Shalom Havarim, when most of us can't recognizably pronounce the Hebrew, comes to mind. I'm not sure, to be honest, but it may be time to let that song go or think about it more carefully. This is complicated because Unitarian Universalists are not Jewish. There are Jewish UUs. Jewish people in the United States have contributed to the humanist movement in an enormous way, which has greatly influenced our tradition for at least the last 100 years in this country alone. So misappropriation is tricky because misappropriation is talking about how to respectfully use other people's stuff. And the question for us is well, who's other people? Jewish Unitarian Universalists celebrate Passover, have Seder dinners, invite their friends. This is not as clear, actually, for us as it is for Christian communities. Nonetheless, Jewish UUs and Jewish people deserve our collective respect, consideration, and care when we think about these things. Okay. So all of this is important context because what I am seeing in a lot of media that I consume, and probably a lot of you consume, is a lot of bad faith accusations of anti-Semitism that are not anti-Semitism at all. And that is important to be able to spot. It is for us to turn the bitter water sweet, too, okay? How do we do that? One, we stay focused on the issue at hand. Our tax dollars are funding the genocide of a people many of us have been taught not to care about at all. Two, it is not the media, but actually your faith that ought to guide your compassion. All of us belong in the beloved community. Three, get and stay informed about the function of anti-Semitism, what it is and what it isn't. Do not be distracted. Do not be confused. 4, contribute boldly and without fear to the movements for divestment and an end to genocide with confidence that you can do this in integrity, with care, without further hurting anybody. we close well, I guess I'll tell you 5. I mean, this one seems sort of plain, but I'll tell you anyway. 5, there is no world where criticism of the Israeli government is a criticism of Jewish people as a group. There is no world where that's true. Okay. The poet Rafat al-Arir was killed in an Israeli airstrike earlier this year. Very recently, his wife and child were also killed by another airstrike. I offer you his poem, If I Must Die. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope. Let it be a tale. We are witness to so much unfolding horror all the time. And our strength is in our ability to make meaning collectively, to resist, to contribute, to celebrate, to lift up the words of the poets and the peacemakers, and to keep our imaginations fixed with compassion and bright moral clarity on the world where everyone is free. May it be so for you and so for us all. Amen. We rise in body or in spirit for our hymn number 121, We'll Build a Land. We sing siblings in spirit instead of brothers and sisters. Will you say that with me? Siblings in spirit. Amazing.
Where the oil of gladness dissolves.
One of the ministries of this church is our Minister's Discretionary Fund, which is available to anyone in a tough spot. We can help with medical bills, rent, groceries, or other needs. Reverend Sadie's email and phone number are on the back of your order of service, or you can contact the church through our website. Our offering this month is split with Muslim Women For. Muslim Women For is an organization of diverse women leaders who aim to embody Quranic ideals of human dignity, egalitarianism, compassion, and social justice. They aim to implement the values of Islam and thereby reclaim the status of women as free, equal, and vital contributors to society. They focus on empowerment for the historically marginalized, grassroots organizing, and leadership development through relationship building. If you'd like to make a contribution, you can do so at the link in the description of this video. You can text GIVE to the number in your order of service. You can also mail a check. Ushers will come forward to collect the offering, which will now be gratefully received. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we live.
Rabbi Shoshana Friedman wrote this song, and some of you have heard this story. She was arrested at a climate protest, and as she was carried away, she handed her father her guitar and shouted to him, "It's in D!" And he carried on playing the song. And so, in the spirit of the people who make beautiful things out of pain, so that the rest of us might carry on, I offer you this song. Words are printed in your order of service. Now you can join me when you're comfortable. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun
Will you join me in our chalice extinguishing words? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
If you're online and you'd like to get more connected, click the link in the description of this video and fill out our contact card. If you're in person, fill out the online form at the visitors table. Anyone can stick around after worship for adult religious exploration led by Megan Cody on how the service speaks to your life. Our new member class this week, focusing on faith in action, will be led by me and Carrie Helton in the library. So get your coffee and come join us. Let clarity and compassion guide you forward in your participation in bringing about a better world and a beloved community where all can thrive. Go in peace and amen. Will you rise in body or in spirit for our benediction hymn number 400, Shalom Havarim. This is a Hebrew song that means peace, dear friends. Until we meet again.